is illegal. Joining me now is the Annandale Capital Chairman and co-founder, George See. Hi, George.
Hi, Blake. Glad to be with you.
Good to have you in. So what happens from here? Where do you think this goes, or is this just going to be a protracted fight that'll never see the light of day?
Well, I think it's okay to up front say that the American people have a public interest in full disclosure so they really get to know their presidents, but that's in normal circumstances. The Democrats are engaged in a never-ending snipe hunt, looking for something to shoot at to destroy the Trump presidency and end it. And they didn't find it in the Russia story, and I don't think they're going to find it in the tax returns. And I think the president is justified to tell him, no, I'm not going to release out of privacy and out of an audit. And basically, this is pure political theater. That's what it is. There's no substance behind this. They're just trying to stir up trouble when we should be focused on meaningful issues like the border and trade with China and other things that Americans are much more interested in and much more focused on.
You bring up trade with China. I'll get there in a second. I asked the White House, though, the other day, and many of my colleagues down there tried to even get the basic answer to the question, has the president filed his tax returns? And the White House won't even say that. Why?
I think the staff over there just want to avoid this issue like the plague. They want to leave it to the president and his lawyers, and they want to focus on the business of the American people that is much more substantive. So I think that there's a desire for this to go away. And to your point, I don't think it is going to go away. I think that this is going to continue through the election. I don't think it'll be resolved till then, because I think it'll eventually be thrown into the courts to say whether the legislative branch has got the prerogative to force the executive to release his tax returns. And I think the answer is very clouded at best to that, and probably not at the end of the day.
Do you think the president is hiding something, or he just doesn't want people to see anything?
I have no opinion on that, except to express that I think Sarah Sanders did not address this in a substantive, careful way when she spoke to it. But the fact is, his tax returns are going to be incredibly complex, and most Americans will not be able to even begin to understand it. You'd need a professional accountant to do that at best. And there's a really high likelihood that the fishing expedition, the snipe hunt of the Democrats, will lead them to toe on to some things to score cheap political points, as opposed to a substantive inquiry into this. So I think that's why we're at a loggerheads right now. And I think it's sad for America. I think we need to be focused on other issues.
Speaking of other issues, let's move on to them. A potential China trade deal. It seems as if we're moving to the finish line. If it gets to the finish line and crosses it, you think it does what to the markets?
I think the market has priced in, for the most part, a settlement at some point. I would salute the president and his administration for taking on the Chinese. It's several decades overdue. They have cheated, lied, and stealed their way into American intellectual property for many, many years and been unfair in their trading, and it was time for them to be held to account. So I think the markets might have a brief positive reaction, but I think it's 90% priced in.
90% priced in. What if there isn't a deal? I mean, we've seen the president walk. We've seen him walk before. It's certainly a possibility, no?
Yeah, it is a possibility, and I think that he'll only walk if he can't get a great deal for the American people. And I do think also that the Chinese are risking a lot more than we are, because their exports to our country are about triple to quadruple what ours are to their country. So I think that they have a high incentive to make a deal. But if we don't make a deal, there is significant economic impact, not just in the U.S. and China, but all over the world, and there will definitely be a negative market reaction. I wouldn't be surprised to see it go down 5% in the weeks after that.
George See. of Annandale Capital, the chairman and co-founder. George, thank you for joining us tonight. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Blake.
And we thank